So my mom, she was the OG sugar baby, as I call her. The idea that I got from relationships is that it was okay to pursue married men. Just make sure he takes you to dinner. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start off. I'm going to make the OnlyFans. I said to myself, I said, how can I stand out? So I started doing fetish work, and you name it, I did the fetish on there.
You deleted your OnlyFans when you got saved.
I deleted it 5 or 6 months after being saved. God told me to. God told me to. So I said yes.
Okay, wait, we have to go back.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
We are here today with Amy Christianson. She is a TikToker, kind of prolific TikToker, storyteller, and former OnlyFans model. So she has a pretty wild testimony of being pulled from the depths of, really lust and exploitation to a place of dignity and understanding her full worth in Christ. I'm excited to get into this. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Honestly, I love doing podcasts. I love doing anything like that. And it's so funny because before I used to do them when, I was like being a fetish model, doing OnlyFans. But now it's a different situation because now we're on here glorifying the Lord. Like, it's not about Amy, it's about my Father and his works.
Yes. Yes,
Yes,
Lord.
Lord, give me the words today, whatever you want me to share, please. I am solely just a vessel. Amen. Period.
Let's start at the very beginning. Let's go back to childhood because I think that for a lot of people who are in sex work or even just like I've talked to people who just used to post like spicy photos on Instagram, like that type of thing where they see their bodies in that way and are happy to let other people objectify them in that way. A lot of times there's either exposure to something at a young age or just, maybe not even exposure to porn, just exposure to men talking about women in certain ways. So when you think about your childhood, do you see any seeds that led to that lifestyle?
Growing up, I was the only child of a single mom.
Whoa, twins.
Hey, let's go.
People think it's like Gilmore Girls, but a lot of times it's not. So,
It's definitely something.
yeah.
Um, so my mom, she was the OG sugar baby, as I call her. So I didn't know my dad. We'll get into that later, but I didn't meet him till I was 26 years old. So growing up with just me and my mom had a lot of mental conditions, so like mental health issues. My
Mhm.
mom was schizophrenic. She also suffered from bipolar seizures. It was a lot going on, and I know it was really difficult for my mom to raise me on her own. So she was kind of, I don't know, I don't really know how to say the words, but like very kept to herself, didn't have any friends really. So she confided
Mhm.
everything into me. And she
Oh,
would tell me,
gosh.
yes, like adult stuff to
Yep.
like an 8-year-old. So I
Yep.
grew up really young, knowing about sex, knowing about creepy men, like, what
Mhm.
to look out for. Like she was super
Yeah.
protective, for protective of me. And she
Yeah.
really wanted me to be sheltered from everything.
So was she dating at the time? Were you watching her date and she was like confiding in you about her dating woes?
So my mom had a husband, and I can't remember. I think they met when I was around 2. And I think he died when, I'm sorry, it's not funny. I think he died when I was around like 12 or 14. I can't really remember. I laugh because that was her sugar daddy. She married her sugar daddy. So my mom was around 40-ish and he was 80.
Oh,
Yeah, so he was older than my grandpa at the time. So to me, that's why I laugh. That's where the
yeah.
laughter comes
Yeah.
from.
Because you're
Couldn't
meaning
stand
he
him.
died of natural causes because he was an old man. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
literally like 100 years old or something, and he passed away.
My
So
gosh.
I grew up seeing that, and yeah, she would talk to me about that. She's like, because he lived like a few hours away from us, and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna go get laid this weekend. I'm gonna go see my husband. I gotta get my sexy underwear. I'm
Oh,
7 years
Lord.
old.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, mom, go ahead.
Was there anyone in your vicinity? Because I understand what you're talking about 100%. I'm only child of a single mom with mental health issues. Did you have people in your vicinity who could look in and be like, Amy shouldn't be hearing about these things, or like who were checking in with you?
Thankfully, I had my grandparents.
Oh, good. Okay.
And so my grandparents, that was like my safe place. Like I would go there every weekend, spend the time with them. I always wanted to be with them. Being at home with my mom was a little scary because she wasn't on meds yet. And
Mhm.
so her moods were really, I'm sure you can understand, like up and
Yep.
down. You
Yep.
never know what to expect. Like you have to be the perfect kid. You have to watch your mouth. You have to read the room. You learn how to read emotions, read people. But I
Yep.
always had my grandparents where I could just go there and just be myself and not worry about anything. And they knew how my mom was, but at the same time, they were like older too, because my mom didn't have me till she was 30. So they were like 75. So it's not like they could take me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you're hearing all these things. Do you remember how you processed it, or like the conclusions you came to as a young child about women and men?
So as I kind of went on into my teenager years, the idea that I got from relationships is that it was okay to pursue married men.
Mm.
That's where I got like my mom's like, it's fine, be with a married man. Just make sure he takes you to dinner. Just make sure he buys you things. So then like I said, he ended up like dying sometime around when I was like, I don't even know, 12. I don't even remember when he died. But he never left my mom anything. Like, so growing up, we were dirt poor, my mom and I, like rats in the house. My mom like couldn't manage her money. So we would have to move a lot because she couldn't pay the rent because she would spend her money on like clothes. Like my
Mm.
mom was also a hoarder and the house was full of like piles high of just clothes in a room and it was dirty.
Mm.
And yeah, so when he passed away, he never left us anything. And that was a bummer because we could have
That's
really
crazy.
used that.
What?
At least something, like at least leave her like a couple of bucks, like or something. I have no clue. Anything, please.
That's crazy. Okay. So, what did she tell you about God when you were growing up, if anything?
When I was 10 years old. So, okay, never mind. The sugar daddy had passed away by then. So,
Okay.
I was 10 years old and my mom and I were experiencing homelessness.
Mm.
We had to go live with my grandparents for a while, which I thought was so great. I just loved it. But my grandparents, they lived in a low income senior housing.
Okay.
And so they only had a one bedroom. We were sleeping in the living room and you could only stay there. Like guests could only be there for not long because my grandparents would get kicked out.
Mm.
So we stayed there for a little bit. And then my mom was going to school at the adult school at the time. And so while I was in school, my mom was at the adult school and she was approached by one of the Jehovah Witness women at the adult school.
Hmm.
And then so the
Adult
Jehovah,
school?
yeah, I don't know exactly what it is, but like you can like take classes there. Essentially, my mom was taking classes for kind of like continuing education, you know, like
GED.
typing.
Yeah.
Yes, like she already had the GED, but she was doing like typing and like things to help you get a job,
Got
essentially.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So she was in that schooling. And then the Jehovah's Witness lady was so amazing. She got us into the homeless shelter. So from there, we went to the women's shelter.
Okay.
And of course, we started studying with the Jehovah Witnesses. And that's when I began to learn about God because before that, I had no introduction to him at all.
Okay. Interesting. It's interesting because my mom grew up Jehovah's Witness, and the trauma, the religious, the stuff that she has still to this day from that upbringing, it's very interesting. So, do you remember if you like really bought what they were selling?
Well, I was done by what they were selling. Hmm. I don't know what I believed, but I knew that I had no choice but to be there. I had nowhere else to be. And they would make you go to church. So at the Jehovah Witness Church, at least at this time, back in the 2000s, there was no like youth portion. So you would sit there for 3 hours during service with the whole congregation. Like, yes. And you would just sit there and listen to it. And I'm 10 years old, so I would just draw the whole entire time. So it was absolutely boring to me at the time.
Right.
And then we would do Bible studies with the sister. We would do Bible studies with her often. And that was cool because there would be food and she would have snacks and stuff. So I did enjoy that. And I think it was good because I got to learn about God and I got to learn about the Bible. And she said if I have any questions, I could ask her. So I was able to ask her a lot of those questions that kids would ask.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay. So, fast forwarding to your teen years, which is usually when people start to date or at least start to get crushes, what was that like for you?
So I've always been boy crazy since I was like, I can remember kindergarten. And I think that's growing up around my mom because always over hyper sexualized everything. Like I
Mm.
remember wearing a pair of shorts out and she'd be like, "Ooh, you trying to get a boyfriend?" I'm like, I'm like 9. I'm like, but I was at that age where I was like, yeah, I am trying to get a boyfriend. Like even as like a kindergarten, because I thought that was the thing. So yeah, always been boy crazy. And then into my teen years, I finally got to an age where I didn't have to I didn't have to be with my mom. I could stay home alone.
Yeah.
So when I was about, I think 14, probably ninth grade, my mom was still really helicopter. She never let me stay at anyone's house. She never let me go out. I couldn't even go bike riding with friends until one night I decided to hang out with my 2 guy friends and not call her and let my phone die and just stay out the whole entire night.
Uh-oh.
So I had a great time. We were just young teens being silly and goofy, staying up all night, not even doing anything bad at this point. And I went home the next day, and from that day forward, I didn't have any rules any longer, and I never, I never had to answer to her. I just would be like, "Mom, I'm going out all night long," and she didn't care.
What? What? Was it like you didn't die and she was like, okay, I guess you can just do that then?
I don't know. I think it was she's like, "Well, I'm powerless. I can't do anything. She's gonna do it regardless, so I might as well just let her do it."
Okay, so you have this like wholesome kind of night out. Does it escalate?
Totally. So, I will say this. So, my throughout high school, my pattern became, you know, I would go out until about 8 in the morning,
Oh,
come home, sleep till 3 p.m. My mom would make me food, and then I would just get up, call my friends, and we would go out again.
what?
Yes, this is around 10th or 11th grade-ish.
Okay.
It's hard to say. I wasn't going to school anymore because, well, I was still in school, but I asked my mom if I could do homeschool, like independent study through school. And she
Mhm.
let me do that because when I was in school, I never did homework. I didn't even show up. I would miss 1 to 2 days of school out at least a week. And I was
Wow.
like, Mom, I think this would be really good for me. And it actually was. It actually brought all my grades up from failing to like B's and stuff. So it was really beneficial. But that's how I had time to go out. And so my friends were still in school, so I was hanging out with other kids who were doing things that I was doing, like independent study and obviously older men because they were not apparently didn't have jobs. So
Where were you meeting older men?
the mall.
What?
I don't know. It's all coming back to me now. So me and my friend, I had a best friend, ride or die, and we would go to the mall all the time on the weekends. And that's how we started meeting people. Like, so when I say older men, I'm talking, I know it's still bad, but I'm talking about guys like in their 20s.
Okay, I see. Okay. And you still had this kind of thinking in your head, which I think is an important piece from your mother, that getting a boyfriend, having male validation is very important. Like to be seen as pretty by men is very important. So were you going to the mall kind of with this let's go be seen attitude?
Yes. Me and my friend, we would get dressed up. We would go out to the mall. We were mostly trying to find something to do for the weekend, someone to hang out with. Because back in the day, everyone in would go to the mall. Like it would be the spot to meet people, to hang out, that or the bowling alley. And then we would just all meet there. Like we would walk around the mall for 7 hours and then literally just go and hang out all night long.
Hey, wait, what town is this?
This is a small town in California, but it's a secret where it is.
Okay, that's fine. So it's a small town. That makes sense.
Yes, that's why. That's why it's so there's nothing else to do but the bowling alley or the mall.
Okay. Okay. So do you get boyfriends during this period of time?
Most definitely. I've always had my whole entire life, I've always had multiple guys I've been talking to, unless I'm in a monogamous relationship, but always had multiple men I liked, multiple men I was chasing, roster, everything. I was definitely dating at this time. I was sexually active at this time. My mom took me to Planned Parenthood and got me on birth control. So I was really grateful for that. I it's so funny though, because growing up with a mom who was so open about everything, I never felt comfortable to tell her stuff. But like my best friend would go to her for advice and be like, would literally go to her for sex advice. And like she would be like, "Oh, I met this guy and we're trying to have sex, but da 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 is happening." And my mom would be like, "Oh, honey, well just try this or just try that." But me, I never felt comfortable going to my mom like that.
That makes sense though. I unfortunately I understand. It's like if they're not emotionally available, it almost feels like violating to tell them things. It's like it just doesn't feel right.
Yes, that's so crazy. Nobody's ever understood that before. It's literally that. It's like you don't know what your parents going to say. It's probably not going to be what you want to hear. And it's just like, I don't want to tell you anything.
Yep. It just feels weird. It just doesn't feel natural, which is sad because it's your mother. Like you should be able to tell them these things, but I think it's a unique thing with, especially like if they're emotionally immature, if they have a bit of that going on, then it just feels super weird. Also with, the term for what you were saying earlier with her telling you stuff that you should not have been hearing, which I experienced the same. It's called emotional incest. And I think
Oh,
that yeah, you should look into it because it's real and it's like it's emotional incest and it's very violating. Like I think it makes a lot of kids feel like something's just wrong in this relationship and you want to pull back. And it's because there is something inappropriate happening because they are committing emotional incest. Like they're opening up to you about things that they should not be opening up to you about. If your mom's talking to you about sex, like that just shouldn't be happening. So it makes sense that you would not want to talk to her about this. So were you processing what you were going through and what you were learning with anyone?
me and my best friend, we would talk about everything.
Okay. So there's no adult got you. Like processing it with you.
Yeah, another teenage girl who's also boy crazy and staying out all night doing drugs and drinking. Yes.
Okay. So where would you say is like the low point? Like at what point do you start to, because how old do you have to be to even join OnlyFans? Is that 18?
I didn't start until the pandemic.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I was like 28 at the time or something like that.
Okay. So what's happening between like high school and 28? What does your life look like?
Throughout my 20s, I was in this relationship with this guy, and this was my only bad relationship I've ever had, and I learned from it. Very, emotionally, verbally abusive, like just mentally mess with your mind kind of guy. And then when I got out of that, it was really hard because I was in that for 7 years, and then now I'm like, I don't even know myself, you know,
So that was from what age to what age?
like 19 to 26.
Okay. It's a
So
long
like
time.
when I was really like developing mentally and like learning about myself, so he just shot my confidence down.
Mm,
I got to a point where he was so controlling that I would literally like never wear makeup anymore. And I always loved makeup and doing my hair before that, but I stopped wearing makeup. Anytime I would leave the house, I would wear sweatpants, a hoodie, because he would make a big deal. Like when I was going to school, for instance, like college, and he'd be like, "Why you dressed that? You trying to meet somebody there?"
mm,
I'm just looking nice for school, man.
right. For
So
myself.
yes, exactly. To feel beautiful, you know? So he shot my confidence down. And after we broke up, I don't know, I was just trying to find my way. I was working. Eventually I got to this place where I guess you could say I got to a place where I wanted to make more money. I was doing my little dental office job, and that
Mm,
was cool. I was making decent money there for my hometown. But I've always been the type, I grew up, half me like dirt poor. So if I want something, I have to work for it. If I didn't want to go back to scarcity again.
mm,
When the pandemic hit, we had some time because, like I said, I was working in the dental office and we couldn't really see patients. So OnlyFans like really became popular during that time. I was on TikTok full time then, like there was nothing else to do. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start off. I'm going to make the OnlyFans, and I don't even care. Like I had just gone. I think this is around the time maybe I had gotten my body done. Like I actually got a BBL. No one can tell because I still have a flat butt. I got that done and I was like, I look really hot and I want to show off these pictures. I want male validation. Like, I just want to feel like that girl.
The body getting done was after your breakup.
It was after my breakup with that jerk and I was with a new guy, my new boyfriend, and I got it done while I was dating him.
Okay. What went into that choice? Was it just kind of the same? Like, was it the insecurities from the past relationship?
I could say it was something that I wanted for a long time. I was always insecure about like my love handle kind of area, even though looking back, it wasn't even that bad, but I was always insecure, even from the time when I was like 19 years old.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, I really want this done. And I'm still glad that I did it. And I do not regret it.
Okay. So you decide to get on OnlyFans, and what happens?
So I start off and I'm advertising my OnlyFans through TikTok. I'm sure some people are going to end up seeing this from my old pages instead and be like, that's what happened to her.
May they meet Jesus. Which also, for the people who don't know anything about OnlyFans, how does it work? It's like you literally just take photos and videos of yourself and upload them, and people pay to view your page. Is that it?
Exactly. Like they can pay to view the videos. You can do customs. Most of the money I made was through customs.
And so customs are like someone pays you for a specific actor, like a specific thing.
Yeah, like pictures, videos. stuff. You can even call them on the phone, whatever they want.
Well, interesting. You can call them on the phone. Is it kind of parasocial? Because I experience a level of parasocial stuff where it's like people feel like they know you and so they say things and they just want to feel like they have a relationship with you. Is it like that where they just want to feel like they're your boyfriend?
Yes, like a girlfriend experience. Totally. Yeah, there's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of situations like that. Like you'll make a video and you're like, "How's my baby doing? I miss you. I love you." Like stuff like that.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. How did that feel for you at the time?
It was, I'm not gonna lie, like I said, I was advertising on TikTok and it was a little bit embarrassing because I was fearful that people I know would see it. But I always told myself, you can't let fear get in the way of making money. I was in such hustle mode back then.
I see. Was it a fun time or did it feel icky?
A lot of it was really liberating. It was like, wow, men want to give me money to see me nude when I have been doing this for free for, a long time. It really did feel liberating. And what it ended up turning into is I did have a stunt where I was a sugar baby. And I would come down to, like I said, I was a few hours from San Francisco. So where I live now, I live in San Francisco now, but I would come down here to San Francisco and I would meet up with guys from the sugar daddy side because there wasn't very many in my small town. And I didn't love doing it. I would have to get like super drunk beforehand, but I'm like, wow, here I am making money. These guys want to pay me money to sleep with me, to take me out to dinner. I'm like, man, this feels kind of good to be like, I don't know, treated like this, I guess you could say.
So it felt liberating in that you were making money. And I think that you'll hear a lot of people say and argue like wholeheartedly that it is genuinely liberating for women, even though it's fascinating because it's like, I believe it's the oldest profession in the world. People say that. I don't know if it's 100% true, but people say prostitution's the oldest
Mhm.
profession in the world. And so it's like, is it truly liberating when women have been like in sex slavery since the beginning of time? And obviously, as a Christian, like, I don't believe it's liberating at all. Like, I think it's enslavement. And I think even if you're someone who's chosen it and you're making this money and you get to choose your clients and it's like this thing, I would still say you're in a bondage. Like, there's still spiritual slavery happening. But anyway, you feel liberated. You feel like I'm in control of my life, perhaps. Like, you feel like I'm making the money I've always wanted to make. What was the lifestyle like? Like, what did it just day to day? What was it like?
Oh, I like that question. And I do want to say, I only think I had four sugar daddies total. I did go on multiple dates, but sexually, I was only with like four of them. So, but the day to day. So, yeah. So at this point, I'm still doing OnlyFans, but now I've graduated from OnlyFans. I'm doing fetish work on OnlyFans because I said to myself, I said, okay, well, everyone's doing OnlyFans right now. It's really hot, it's really active. How can I stand out? I was like, what can I do to stand out? So I started doing fetish work and you name it, I did the fetish on there. And that's how I grew my subscriber base. That's
Okay.
how people started knowing me. I would do things that most normal people wouldn't do because it might be taboo or gross. And that's what attracted people to me. So I was having appointments doing these things, not anything sexual, like not having sex with anyone, but I was doing these fetish work. Like there's like feet burping in people's face. I'm tall. So I would do something called giantess where you would like step on little dolls and pretend it's a person like you're smashing a person.
So this is all digital, or was it in person?
It was all digital, but I would do some in person as well.
Okay.
It became enough money where I could quit my office job. It was hard though because like yes, I was making good money, but I was literally so depressed. Like I hated my life. I literally wanted to unalive myself. I was just so anxious and miserable. I was upset because I didn't have a boyfriend. I thought a boyfriend would change my whole entire life. Yeah, I just hated life. I hated living.
Mm. Was there any shame at the time, which I think that'll be an important part to talk about at some point, is like righteous shame versus like shame that's of the enemy and that Christ literally died to free us from, like shame and condemnation. But did you feel or think at any point like, what am I doing?
I got to a point and it was so this was 2020 when I started this. I deleted all my sex work, OnlyFans, like, because I was on multiple sites doing YouTube, doing TikTok, all this, multiple platforms. I deleted everything 1 year ago in August.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was doing it up until then. Was there any righteous shame? Well, I got to the point where I didn't even want to make the videos anymore. I'm like, ugh, I need to make a custom. Ugh, I need to record. I need to post this. Like, I just got to a point where I was so burnt out, but I also needed to make money and pay the bills. I don't know if I was having righteous shame at the time. I actually was just trying to avoid all of my emotions.
Mm, okay. So when you decided to delete everything, it was like from an exhausted place of just, I'm tired of this.
No, so I got saved last year. I got saved in March of last year when my whole life came crumbling down.
You deleted your OnlyFans when you got saved.
I deleted it a few months, like 5 or 6 months after being saved.
Wow.
God told me to. God told me to.
I told you to delete your OnlyFans. Okay, wait, we have to go back.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
Okay. So during COVID times is when you start the OnlyFans. You had it for, I guess, what would that be,
4 years.
4 years? How does the Lord reveal himself to you in that time? Because what were your thoughts of him? Like you had done the Jehovah's Witness thing with your mom. What were your thoughts from that point, and how did you know it was true?
Like, was it 2021 is when the depression got really bad when I wanted to unalive myself. I needed something. So I needed some sort of substance, something. And I remember I had gotten this rose quartz necklace from Target, a little tiny like crystal on it. And I
Uh-huh.
remember I saw it in there and I was like, you know what? My mom grew up talking about tarot. She grew up talking about crystals. She was, even when she was in the Jehovah's Witness church, she was still interested in like that spirituality. I said, you know, I know rose quartz is like a healing stone or some crap like that. So I put the rose quartz on. And from that day forward, I actually started feeling not as miserable. And I was like, this is real. So, everyone has their spiritual testimony. We're all the same. We started making moon water. We're asking the tarot card reader what to do. We're manifesting. We're writing things down 17 times and burning it outside and giving it back to the world. I definitely got into spirituality. And in 2022, so my mom had like a pulmonary embolism where a blood clot breaks off from your leg, goes to your heart. She instantly coded. So she instantly died in the hospital. It was after surgery. They resuscitated her. After that, she had some sort of brain damage from lack of oxygen. And so then she was no longer able to talk or move. She was bedridden. Sorry, I forgot that important part here.
Wow, that's tough.
Yes. So so that was also feeding into my depression as well. Like it was really hard, being with my mom for all those years and then just not having her. So that's why I sought out my dad around age 24.
But your mom was still alive, just bedridden.
Yes, in all the way in Sacramento. So she was a long ways away from me too. And I was not dealing with my emotions well at the time. And so I was not visiting her because it was too hard for me.
Mm, I see.
So Mother's Day weekend, my dad calls me the day before. He's like, I would love you to come down. So I'm driving down there. I called my dog sitter. I was like, hey, I know it's last minute. Can you watch my dog? And my dog was the only thing at the time keeping me alive. The only reason I didn't drive my car off a cliff is because I had her and, she meant everything to me. It's Mother's Day weekend. It's about 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I get a call from the dog sitter. And I was like, uh-oh. I was like, why is she calling me? She never calls. Apparently after I had left the house, my dog just passed away unexpectedly.
Oh my.
Yeah. So it was really, really hard for me. Like that was my everything. Like, and she was older though. So she was 10 and a half. And so, I mean, older dogs pass. So it's
Yeah.
not like it was anything too crazy, but I was just like, oh my gosh. So I broke down and I said to my sibling, because my sibling was over there hanging out too. Like it was Mother's Day weekend. So my little sibling was there at my dad's house. And I said to my sibling, I said, I can't go home. If I go home, I'm going to take my life. And then my dad said, I don't know. I don't think I told my dad that part because he can't deal with emotions well either. He's very emotionally immature. So my dad said, honey, you can stay here as long as you need to get your feet, get yourself planted here in San Francisco. From that day forward, I lived in San Francisco. It's about to be like 4 years, 3.5 years.
So when you moved there, living with your dad at first, were you still doing the OnlyFans then?
Totally. That was what was supplementing my income.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yes. I was doing the OnlyFans and yeah, it took me a couple months. I got my own little apartment out here while I was renting a room, got my own place, still doing OnlyFans. And this was in 2022. So after my dog had passed, a few months later, I said, I got to do something. So I signed up for BetterHelp.
Oh, okay.
The therapy, if anyone doesn't know, it's BetterHelp therapy. So I signed up and I met a therapist, and that changed my whole entire life.
Mm.
She was so because you asked me how did I get to God? Because I was spiritual, I was making moon water, I was manifesting. So, but I meet her, and she in 2022, she helps me, get my whole life together, all my emotions, deal with my depression, deal with everything, and she was the one who introduced me to God.
Okay. I didn't know they were. I didn't know that they were allowed to do that. Honestly.
Me and her, we do whatever we want. That's our rules.
Okay. So what did she tell you about God?
So basically she knew that I was on the spiritual path. She could tell that I needed something more to believe in, something more to just be hopeful about. Like she could just tell. And then I remember one day I don't even know how to explain it, but she's like, I was like, Dee, what do I do? I'm like, what do you recommend? She's like, well, I'm gonna give you three things. You don't have to do them if you don't want to, but she's like, I recommend you find a church by your house. And then there was like two other things that I can't remember. Oh, start volunteering, and then there was like another thing I can't remember what it was. And I was like, okay. I was at the point in my life where I was so rock bottom that I was so desperate to change. Like I did not care. Like I did not care. So I mentioned I got saved in 2024.
Hmm.
This was 2 years after I started therapy, like almost 2 years, a year and a half. And at the end of 2023, my mom had passed on Christmas. Thank you, mom.
Christmas Day of 2023. Wow.
Yeah. And I remember I was here all alone in my house by myself, and I get the call from the doctor, and I already know whenever the doctor personally calls you, it's not good news. And so my mom passed, and then that was just the beginning of it in 2023. And my mom passed, and last year, 2024, was a time of God removing a lot of things in my life. He was stripping me down, and I didn't even know God. Like I knew of him, but I didn't know him.
Hmm.
So he just began stripping me down. 2 months later, because I had been dating a guy like throughout this whole time, and that's one of the main reasons I wanted to come down to San Francisco. It's to grow that relationship with him, because everything was always about men. So um, last year, he broke things off with me in February, and of course, I was devastated because my whole entire identity, used to fall around men and worth and relevance and reassurance was all around relationships. So that ended. I got diagnosed with Crohn's, which is an autoimmune disorder that affects your intestines. I was going through the ringer, let me tell you. I was just like, last year was so rough. So I decided to start watching church online, and I liked it. And then I took my therapist's advice and I found a local church, and I just started just pouring into God. I said, God, I can't do this. And even though last year so many things were breaking in my life, there's so many things just crashing down all at once. I felt peace for the first time in my whole entire life. I had unconditional peace, and I know that's what came from the Lord. And I was hooked after that, girl.
Wow. Do you remember hearing the gospel? Like, do you remember when you understood the gospel for the first time?
um, I don't recall when I actually remember understanding it, but I just remember there's been so many like times when everything has been so relevant into my life. Because when you first start walking with God, I feel like He pushes it all on you. You know what I mean? He's like, this hits you, that hits you. You're like, every sermon is just so relevant and so good. And you're just like, holy moly, this aligns with my life. I'm not the only one who's walked through all of this stuff.
Mm.
This is not new. The enemy wants you to think that this is all new. He wants you to think you're alone. He wants to think nobody else has gone through any of this. And that is far from the truth.
Hmm. It's very true. Yeah. So, what would you say? Like, how did you in that time? Because I think a lot of people, some people, they kind of drift into the church and then they kind of drift out of it. And there's the parable of like the seeds that fall. Like some seeds will fall on fertile ground, and some seeds will fall on the ground and be eaten by the birds and whatnot.
Mhm.
What was your experience of going deep with God in that time that made it real for you?
Honestly, like I said, the thing that made it real was just the peace. And I no longer had to walk through life alone. I came to the point where I was like, God, I give up everything. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And he started slowly telling me what to do. Like I said, in August of last year, he told me, I want you to delete your OnlyFans. And I said, God, how am I going to pay the bills? I was at this point working now. I did have a job. I was back at a dental office, which I absolutely hated that job. But I was like, God, I don't know how I'm going to do, because I was at a point where like so depressed. I was squandering all my money. I was traveling everywhere, going to concerts, going out, spending money all the time, not saving, like nothing. And I was like, God, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills. Lord, it's August. You know, it's my birthday month. Like, I don't want to give up OnlyFans this month. So I went back and forth and, I said, I'm miserable. I hate it. Like, I deleted my YouTube, my Twitter, my OnlyFans, the other platforms I was on. I just took a chance and I just deleted it all
Because he said so.
because he said so. And I want him to do whatever he wants because I don't want to live the life I was living anymore.
Mm. And did he show up? I assume he did because that's what he does.
Well, he's continued to show up in this past year, and I am still, I don't know how to explain it. So, like, I was totally fine. The job that I was working, I ended up getting a promotion. I ended up being able to make just enough money to cover all my bills and a little bit extra. Like, I never, like, everything was fine. And I'm still walking, like I said, I'm so new in my faith, but I'm still walking with God this year. In March of this year, God took me out of that job that I just told you that I hated. It was toxic, it was terrible. And I know he was the one who took me out of it because literally the week before I got fired, my boss says to me, he's like, you're our best employee. You're the most reliable. You're the one who shows up every day. 1 week later, I was fired.
God said, and scene.
I said, thank you. And I was so grateful to be fired. I said, thank you, Lord. I'm ready for this next chapter because I had been praying to God for like 3 months prior straight. Get me out of this job. Take me out of this job. I hate this job. Let's go to the next step. I don't want to do this anymore, Lord. Please remove me from this. I thought he was going to give me a better job,
Hmm.
but he said, no, honey, you have no job. So I've been unemployed since March of this year. And we are now, what, in November?
Yeah. Has he communicated things to you or just given you a sense of what this time is for?
Oh my gosh, this time has been for learning. Me and him have become so, so, so close. I never had time for anybody, anything, capacity, anything prior to me losing like when I was in that job, I had no time. So prior to now, like I had no time for anything. And now I have all the time in the world for him. I spend so much time with him. The church I had been going to was really hard for me at that church because I always got really bad anxiety going there, the church that I started last year, which is so crazy because I don't get anxiety ever like that, but I would hate going there. I would dread walking in. I would just not even want to drive over there. It would be so hard for me, but I would force myself anyway. And now I love that church. It's my home church. I've made so many friends. I serve there. I do online hosting there. The same church.
Well, it's definitely spiritual warfare. That's how demons, that's what they do. Like, you'll see people, like, almost fighting themselves to get inside the church because demons are, like, manifesting.
It's literally that. Like, and the enemy knows when something's really good and he knows where you're going to grow and get closer to God. And it was definitely that place for me. He did not want me to get in there. And now I love it. I look forward to every weekend. I look forward to seeing all my friends. For the first time, I finally have friends. I prayed to God for friends, and He never gave me that friend group I wanted because I wanted the group who would go out and get drunk every weekend, who would travel, who would blow money, who would live in the world. And God never gave that to me. I didn't get it. And I was so mad at Him. I'm like, why won't you give that to me? And now I see it. God, I don't want those friends. I want my Christian girlies.
Yes, Lord. Yes. Have you experienced deliverance?
I don't even know. I feel like that it's such like in so many ways,
Yeah.
in so many ways. Like it's just so many ways. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. 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 There are many ways. It's like, I think that when you first are saved, there's a type of immediate deliverance that comes. And then I think, especially with, because I think a lot about this scripture that's like the sins that we commit against our own bodies. It's like there's a different type of level of almost iniquity that can come from sexual sins. And I know from my own experience and from many of my friends, it's like there's so much freedom that comes with pursuing deliverance, like specifically. Whether it's like through a deliverance ministry or just on your own. Highly recommend, I've told everyone and their mother, highly recommend the book Pigs in the Parlor about deliverance. It's a very good book
Okay.
because I think it's like there's salvation, which is phenomenal and a great gift. And then there's a type of freedom that we can have here now that I think some people don't even realize is possible because we're just used to living our lives as we live them. But there are things that are still attached, which some Christians don't believe it. Some Christians are like, no, once saved, you're good. And it's like, I don't think that's true. I think that many Christians, if they're honest with themselves, experience, whether it's habits that they just have had for so long or just things that are attached to wounds that they just haven't healed yet. Like, there's so much freedom that God has for us in deliverance. And I think that having traveled out of America, I've been very fortunate to go to many parts of the world where they know about this stuff and it's just common sense to them. It's like you visit their church and you go for prayer after church and you tell them you're struggling with something, they're immediately going to be like, let's go. Like, we're going to go in the back and we're going to pray this thing off. And in America, it's kind of like, well, we'll pray for you. We'll be praying
Yeah.
for you. And it's like, we need
We need
deliverance. We
more.
all need deliverance. Yeah. 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 That's great, though, that you're able to enjoy this church and have friends. Are you able to be honest about your story? Do you feel free to talk about it?
I'm learning that, and I think this is great for anybody out there. I'm learning that your testimony is not about you.
Yeah.
And it's okay to sit here and not be the cookie cutter Christian and not grow up in the church and deal with sexual sin and lust and putting your whole nude body out there on the internet. Like, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's part of your walk. And what one of my friends said to me, she's like, Amy, you did that, but you're able to reach people that I couldn't reach because you've been in that field. And like, to me, like, it's such a blessing to be able to reach people and inspire people, and everyone is built differently, so we can help the different people around us.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Has he given you opportunities to talk to people who are either currently doing OnlyFans or something in that vein?
So, I'm not really around people like that anymore. I'm in my era where I'm just really like in a shell, like kind of just like hiding with God right now and hiding with like Christianity and stuff, because I've struggled so much over this past year, and I've wanted to go back into the world. I wanted to go out partying, like we were talking about earlier. I wanted to get drunk so many times, and I just wanted to experience life again, because I those were my old patterns, and what I thought would fulfill me, what used to be my coping mechanisms in the past was doing all those worldly things. So I'm really at a point where I'm like hiding from it. But one thing God has done for me, which has been really awesome. I mentioned to you guys that I always struggle with singleness my whole life. I never wanted to be single. My worth was tied to a relationship. I always had a negative connotation around being single. And God is so funny how he works. But I was recently we just ended, but I was leading a single women's group.
Hmm.
Like, really, God? And I had a co-lead too with it. And it's like, God, you took my Achilles heel or whatever it's called, like, and you're using it to minister, like my ministry. And now I'm so passionate about single women's ministry, which is something before I would be like, ew, I hate that. I don't want to be single.
Yeah.
But he uses the one thing that you think is bad
Right.
to help others. And now, yes, my group just ended, but now God's giving me more ideas. And I'm like, God, just because the church ended my group doesn't mean we're going to end our ministry. And I'm thinking of new ideas to restart it and get my girls going again. Like, I can't believe he moved in that way. And that's what makes me full,
Mm,
working in God's kingdom.
amen. I love how he does that. Like, he'll just flip things. That was the one thing you never wanted to be, even from a young age, 9 years old, wearing shorts. Like, yeah, I'm looking for a boyfriend. And then leading a singles ministry is awesome. That's awesome. I've seen a few TikToks about dating. Are you not dating?
I I took a year off from dating.
Once you got saved, you were like, we're taking a break.
Yeah, literally. Well, it came after. I'm not gonna lie, it did come after. Things were a little rocky with my ex last year. We ended in April, or no, February, and then we ended up rekindling literally 1 year ago back in October. And so things were a little rocky there. So from last November to now, I took 1 year off. I've never been single in my whole entire life. I've never had anyone I wasn't talking to. And so I took that year off. And I was like, you know what, God, I'm ready to get back out there. Oh my gosh, y'all. I downloaded Hinge, and it was just so anti me. I'm like, girl, you don't need the dating apps anymore. Why are you downloading Hinge? Like, it's not 2021. Like, you don't need that. So I downloaded it about a month ago. I went on 2 dates. And literally last week, God convicted me to delete it. So I deleted it. And I'm like, I know, God, you have a man for me. I don't need to be out here distracting myself, because it's all a coping mechanism. I was falling back into old patterns, is what God recently released to me, or revealed to me. And I'm like, I don't need to like date to get out of discomfort. Like, it wasn't intentional. It wasn't the Christian way. I was just going on dates and
Interesting. Going back to old patterns is so interesting because I think that a lot of times we'll think that we're not going back into old patterns because we're not doing the sin that we used to do. But it's like we're going on the same road. We're having the same thought patterns. And that's what I think he's often talking about. He sees things on such a deeper level. And it's like you can be going back to old patterns without doing the exact same behaviors. It's really about what your heart is up to.
And that's how the enemy gets us. He slowly creeps in, very slowly, like, oh, I can download the dating app. It's fine. Oh, I can go out on this. I can do this. And it started getting me back into a pattern where I was like, I moved it. I was like, you know what? Because it's about what you consume. And I was consuming TikToks about go on dates with rich men and have luxury dates. And I was like, I haven't been on a luxury date in a while. So I literally put my age range to 75 on Hinge. I'm telling you, this was just a couple weeks ago. And that's how the enemy slowly was coming in. And that's why God's like, girl, get off of there. Why are you falling back into an old pattern? Like, why are you doing that? You don't need to date old man. Like, you know better. That doesn't align with the woman that I'm transforming you into. It's always, you guys, it's up and down. Your walk with the Lord. There's going to be times where you slowly start going into old ways. But don't worry, God's always going to be there and he's always going to pull you back out.
Just look to him. That's the key, is like looking to him. Because I think that it's easy to also then close your ears. Like you could have, when he said that, you could have closed your ears and said, what was that? Was that a bird? And then
Who
just
said
kept,
that?
yeah. Because that's what often happens. And then they grow hard. So just keeping your eyes on him. But yeah, I appreciate that. Especially in your first, I mean, I guess now it's been over a year of your faith walk, but still so early. It's only natural that your mind would continue to go back. And like Lot's wife, look back,
Mhm.
like, wait, but that old life though, the luxury though. I had a friend of mine actually on the show, this was like 2 years ago at this point, who used to be a sugar baby also. And she talked about the peace, like you. And she talked about how she had so much more peace sitting on the public bus in Atlanta than she used to have like in Lambos back in the day. She'd just be so anxious
Yeah.
versus the peace that she had once she was in some sense poor,
Hmm.
but spiritually rich. So I can imagine it's tough when it's material stuff that you also are giving up. You had access to things via these men, and you know that you could, with 10 minutes on an app, get that back. I can imagine that it's tough to resist that and to choose God, but kudos to you for choosing. It's always the right choice. We do know that, at least intellectually, but it's hard to feel that sometimes. So, what is your hope? Are you hoping for a family one day? Is that the dream?
Oh, yes, yes, of course, definitely. So my biggest goal and hope right now, well, I guess, okay, so my biggest goal right now is I just want to be content in whatever God wants me to do.
Mm.
That's it. I do want a husband, and God told me God has a husband for me. And you got to learn to lean in and just trust him because God doesn't make covenants and breaks them. He comes through on his word. He's not like a human being. He's not going to let you down. He's got you. But you have to do it his way, though. I haven't had a job. Money's running out. I don't know what's going to happen. But you know what I am doing? Locking in with the Lord and trusting his process.
So, you believe and you're standing on this promise. You have a husband somewhere out there. The Lord is forming him as he forms you.
Oh, I stand on it. I know it. Like I 120% know it. Like God, you cannot keep this away from a nice man. Like, come on, Lord. But no, that's besides the point. Like, I beg God for a relationship. I beg God for a husband. And he said, okay. And then he completely transformed my life. He's transforming me day by day, teaching me how to be a wife, how not to be in an anxious relationship, how not to seek and push and please love me, please love me. No, I have worth through the Lord now.
Yeah, 100%.
But also at the same time, we got work to do. We don't have time to be wasted because once we get into, I mean, it's not wasted time being in a relationship, but like sometimes you got to take time out of one to learn about yourself, to learn about God, let God meet all those needs, like
Heal.
heal them exactly. And then later on, you'll be so set and everything will be fine. It'll be through God. It's not going to be through emotion and anxiety and worry and fear and scarcity. Where I used to spend so much time like idolizing relationships and marriage. And now I just realize, no, there's a time for everything, a season for everything. And that's just one word like I always want to like get across to everyone. I always want to talk about like, you'll have your time. It's good. Just pray to God for peace when in whatever season that he may have you in. Pray to him to reveal what it is that you need to learn now before you can have that blessing that you so deeply desire. Because God doesn't put those strong desires on our heart for nothing, just to like laugh at us or just to disappoint us. No, God would never do that. He puts it on your heart because that's meant for you.
Hmm. Hmm. I think a lot about that scripture. They're like, he just gives us the desires of our hearts. And it's like, actually, let me pull it up. Okay, so Psalm 37, starting at verse 3. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. And then it says, commit your way to the Lord, trust in him, and he will do this. He will make your righteous reward shine like the dawn, your vindication like the noonday sun. I feel like so often, for my whole life, I feel like I've only heard, he'll give you the desires of your heart. And it's like, trust in the Lord and do good. Like, there are prerequisites to this. It's not just the desires that you naturally have in your heart, like your evil human desires, he'll give them to you. No, it's trust in the Lord and do good, dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. It's like if you're taking delight in the Lord, if you're abiding in him, your heart is going to shift towards his will. So the desires that you have in your heart are going to align with his will. So he will give you the desires of your heart because he desires for you to have them. You're sharing. It's like you're partnering and you're sharing desires, which is so beautiful. Because for me, I used to be like, I'm never having kids. And I was like dedicated to that because I was like, I just want to travel and live my best life. And as
Yeah.
I grew in Christ, like, especially during COVID, because I just had so much alone time, the more time I spent with God, I just started to have all these strong feelings of motherhood and like wanting to be a mother and wanting to be a wife. And it was just like, wow, that is the definition of God giving me the desires of my heart. Like, I know he will because he's the one who put them in there. Yeah. So how has your healing journey been? You've been frankly through a lot, and then the loss of your mom. How has the grieving process been?
How has it been? It has been actually not bad because for the first time in my life, I'm not doing something on my own.
Mm,
You know what I mean? My whole life, I felt like I've had to go through everything alone. Even if I had a partner, I still felt alone. And this is the first time in my whole entire life where I don't feel alone. Sometimes I do get lonely, but that's different, you know? It's doable, it's manageable now. And after losing my pet, my dog, after losing my mom, the two hardest things that I never thought that I would be able to come back from, I never thought I would be able to live after that. And I see that I'm living and I'm fine. And I'm I'm blessed and highly favored. But no, seriously, like after making it through all of that, it's just I know I can make it through whatever life throws at me now.
praise him. I'm so happy to hear that. And I'm sorry for the losses, especially of the pup. I've lost a pet, and it's a different type of pain because those things they're so uncomplicated. The love that we have for them is so simple that when it's gone, it's tough. Like that comfort is gone, and God is so great, and He is a great comforter. But sometimes it is tough when you can't see Him or physically feel Him. You know.
It's hard because sometimes you'll be around the house and you're like, man, I just need a hug. I just need physical touch. You know what I mean? But that's why we have friends. That's why we have family. That's why we have like community, you know, or even if you don't have anyone, I know sometimes we're in a place where we don't have anyone we can reach out to. Like even in those times, sometimes I pray to God, I say, God, can you just hug me right now? And I physically hug myself and it feels like somebody's in the room with me.
Mm.
He's great.
Mysteries of God, man. The mysteries of God. Well, thank you so much, Amy, for coming on and for sharing all these things with so much candor and honesty. You know, you could choose to hide, you know, the way that you're hiding, in a sense, you're being hidden in this season by the Lord, hiding you from sin and keeping you safe from that as He does this deep work in you. I feel like probably your I mean, we're always being sanctified, but I think it's probably like a consecration type of season for you, which is great. But I'm grateful that you're not hiding what He's done. You're letting yourself be hidden, but you're also letting your light shine. So praise God for that.
All glory to him, honestly. Like whatever I say nowadays, and like now on social media, like I said before, it was about me, but now everything I say is always about him. It's always glorifying him, and it's not me anymore. And you know what? It's so much easier when it's not about you and you don't have to make decisions. Like if you're tired, please seek God because you don't have to worry about anything or do anything anymore because he's got you.